Blackboard for beginning of start the test review here. In Blackboard, I have two things in there. In week 4, and I have this over here. I'll get back to the Wiley Plus in a minute. I'm gonna look at this exam stuff first. Exam overview and study materials. The first one is number 13 and 13.5, which is in week 4. Week 4 stuff. I redid it as of yesterday. The number 13 part.
No, these do go from like number 1 and number 7 problem as like a study review.
Yeah, the two that I'm going to mention go through every step. The first one, number 13, I kind of give you a little introduction here, and you need to use the trial balance that's also there. I have the updated trial balance from mid-December. You're going to do, as it says here, all of the entries for the end of December, and then the adjustments. And this is the biggest part where I've really updated this one from what it used to be on here. I updated this part mainly. These are the correction entries. I didn't have any correction entries before, but there are correcting entries on the exam. I think it's very important that somebody in accounting knows how to go back and correct something if there was a mistake, if somebody made a mistake. Especially if you ever do accounting work, you get the books from a company that you're working for, and they send you the stuff and there's mistakes all over the place. You need to know how to correct it. That's one of the big things that an accountant does, is correct other mistakes. So, like for example on this one, there's a couple things wrong. One, they had a flip of the numbers. 2100 and 1200. Easily done. Easily can be done. And they also had an incorrect entry accounts. Maybe one of the accounts was wrong, maybe both of them. So knowing how to correct this. And if I was doing this one, I'll just help out on, I'll just kind of give a quick overview of this one on what I would do. And there's two different ways to do it. On this one, off to the side somewhere, I would make some kind of pretend T accounts to kind of give you a visual of what happened. So I would go through and I would show in my pretend T accounts, just for my visual, that I had cash originally down for $1,200 and a credit to service revenue for $1,200. And then I would want to put what really happened. And what do I have to do to make that happen? So Mike paid $2,100 for a service that we have scheduled to complete on the 10th. Mike paid $2,100. Okay? Cash, so this is one of the two ways you can do this. I would say cash should have been $2,100. That's what the total should be in cash. Now what do I need to do to get to that point? Hopefully you say, I need to add 900, debit 900. Because I didn't record enough cash up front by my mistake. Next, I see that this should have had a credit to unearned revenue. I went from 0, nothing, and I needed to have a total of 2,100. So what did I do to go from nothing to 2,100 total? Hopefully it's obvious that you would credit 2,100 as one of your entries. And then the final entry, service revenue, well, it shouldn't have had anything yet. My total should have been 0. So to get the 1,200 out of there, I need to debit 1,200. I've got 2 debits, 900 and 1,200, to offset my 1 credit.
So when you're doing adjusting, they don't necessarily have to balance if there's like something wrong, like, cause.
Oh, it always balances.
Well, I mean, when you're putting it in, I guess, cause it was existing, it had the debit of 1,200, and you just debited 900, and then you debited 1,200 to service revenue.
Yeah.
Even though those, like, you only, I guess you put in 900 to balance it out. When I did it on the quiz, I got really confused, cause.
If you go through and balance everything, it balances.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking about like when you first like put it in, like how you put 900 and 1,200 somewhere else. That's what confused me.
Well, I have 900, 1,200, and 2,100.
Yeah.
They balance. I got 2 debits, 2,100, 1 debit or 1 credit of 2,100. It definitely everything adds up.
Yeah, I understand that part. I was used to putting the same number as a credit and same number as a
Yeah,
balance.
no, yeah, that's the basic stuff.
Yeah,
This is the more step up. Okay, so that's the one way to do it, and that's the way that makes sense to me. But the easier way, maybe, it's a little bit more writing, but not a whole lot. You started out with a debit balance to cash for 1,200, credit balance to service revenue, and this is how most of you do it then. Most of you say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and pretend this transaction didn't happen. So I'm going to credit 1,200, debit 1,200. That's one of your entries. You just wiped out the mistake. Now you have to go in and do the real thing, what really happened. Debit 2,100, credit your revenue, unearned revenue for 2,100. Maybe, Brandon, this makes more sense to you.
Yeah, I tried doing it the other way because that's what I was like learning, and then I just confused myself.
I think once you get more used to the material the first way that I showed you, it goes faster, it makes things go faster. This way, it's just an extra step, but not a problem either. Undo the wrong thing and do the right thing. If you go through this one, this takes you, with the directions here, steps 1 and 2, doing the December transactions, doing the adjusting entries, the adjusted trial balance, and then the last 2 as well, the closing entries and the post-closing trial balance. And I have this one on Blackboard with the answers. Everything's on there. The opening sheets that you need, this one, and the trial balance to get you started. And then the answers as well, for a good study guide. The other one that I have on Blackboard is in week 5. And it's very similar to what we just did. Star Galaxy. I give you an opening adjusted trial balance. So I start you out right here, number 4, and then I want you to do 5 through 7, and then showing that you can go back up to the top as well and start anew. So this is just like Davis Park. Do the income statement, find all the financials, closing entries, your post-closing trial balance, and then do these guys, your brand new journal entries to start the new year. If you can do those 2, as specifically pointed out, practice, the exam should be pretty easy.
So this is not homework, or is this?
No, it's not homework. I've changed it.
All right.
Not homework, it's just for review.
And the answers are also on.
Answers for this one are on there. Yes. let's talk more about the exam and what to expect. So what you just saw, those two things combined are what the test is. And that is almost half. It's about 55% of what the test is being able to do one big long problem. One key aspect to remember when you're, and I'll try to remind you on this on Tuesday, but sometimes I forget. If you get to doing the journal entries and then you go and add up your equation and it doesn't balance, that's probably going to happen to at least half of you in here. Do not stop and try to find that one mistake right then. Keep going, even though you know there's a mistake somewhere, maybe even more than one. But show me that you can do the rest of these steps. If you stop right here at the adjusting journal entries because your equation doesn't balance, or your debits don't equal your credits here at the adjusted trial balance, and you try to find some mistake and it only turns out to be one little flip of a number, you wasted 20 minutes on that, maybe 1 point worth, and you missed 22 points by not even showing me that you know how to do these. Do these even though you know that there's a mistake somewhere. And then if you have time, come back and try to find the mistake later. And then erase a few of the mistakes, so like maybe cash change, so you got to go in and change your cash in the balance sheet and in the post-closing trial balance. If you stop here and get all flustered because something doesn't balance, Jackie, you might do that.
Yeah, I know.
Don't stop. Finish. I've had too many people in the past not do well even though they knew the stuff. They didn't get a very good grade because they got too bogged down with trying to find a mistake. Okay, so that's the back half of the exam. Front half is just like our quizzes. So I'm going to have just the quizzes expanded. So I'm going to have some multiple choice questions. Some of them are very similar to the multiple choice questions on the quiz. So like one of them, I had a multiple choice on this last quiz that said book value. Or if the equation goes up on the assets and up on the liabilities by this much, how much did the owner's equity change? Multiple choice questions like that. And then fill in the blank is the next part. So like remember we had a fill in the blank that said what are the rules that accountants have to follow? There's a rule base that says you have to record revenue when it happens. Or debits and credits, they make up all those rules. Remember GAAP is the rules that accountants have to follow. Generally accepted accounting principles. So things that were on those past quizzes, they'll be similar, not identical, but similar to this quiz, or to this exam. The one part will be, because since we spent some time on this through Wiley Plus, maybe 15, 20 minutes, I do have an example on the exam worth about 15 points or so, so a sizable amount, where it was just like the Wiley Plus, where we had AR and gift certificates. And then they said AR at the end of 2014 had a balance of $11,000, and gift certificates had a balance of $18,000. And then in 2015, our balance was $13,000 and $22,000. And then finally they said revenue for the year equaled $136,000. And then part A would say all 2014 money was collected. Money due. Remember Remember that question, remember that example, hopefully you recall that, going through that in class. And then using all the information they give us while doing T accounts. If you try to do this one, like I told you on the homework, without making T accounts, there's no way you're going to get it right. You better have doing T accounts off to the side like this, or however you want to do it.
Can you do an example of one like that?
Like what?
Like that, like sewing?
Yeah,
Because
can you just do it again?
I did a couple of those on Wiley and I still was completely lost. And it just became frustrating.
Oh, okay. So, what I've even done as well, and you may ask me for this too. I made one.
Oh, yeah.
I actually made it today. Where accounts receivable, last year, this year's balance, revenue, and then payments being collected, gift certificates being redeemed. But we can go through this one.
Yeah.
And I also then, if you're still lost on it, on the other tab, have the answers. Okay, so we can go through this one. You better start your T accounts. Accounts receivable had an opening balance of $7,500 to start the year or to end last year. Same thing as starting this year. An ending balance of $8,400. And my unearned revenue began the year with $15,000, ended the year with $19,000. And total revenue was $135,000. Note that that's total. That's not an entry that I have. Or last year's beginning balance, because revenue starts with 0. Starts over. All payments due from 2014 were collected. What are we going to debit? What did I get? What did the business get? Debit question. Cash. How much?
75. Wait.
Yep.
That my 75.
7,500. Why did I get cash? Where did it come from?
Accounts receivable.
Okay, somebody else now. All gift certificates from 2014 were redeemed.
What'd you get? 1,500 in cash,
Nope.
or what is your revenue?
Accounts payable.
Service revenue,
Service revenue, what about it?
we have to credit that.
Credit that, yep. And where did that service revenue come from?
Accounts,
Unearned.
Unearned revenue, yeah, it came here. What did I get? A reduction on my balance of gift certificates. Why? Because they were used. So I'm beginning to explain where this 135,000 came from. 15 of it was paid last year in the form of gift certificates. An additional 40,000 of gift certificates were sold this year. Somebody else know. And what did I get?
Would that be cash and $40,000?
Okay.
And then service revenue or
Cash I like.
okay. Revenue is all I can think of.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Not revenue.
Service revenue.
Unearned revenue.
Unearned. Oh, because of this is gift certificate.
Yep.
Gift certificate. Okay.
Unearned revenue.
You're gonna also email this as well, right? Or is this on Blackboard?
This is on Blackboard.
Oh,
No, it's not. You have to ask me for this. Somebody in my Anderson class asked me to come up with a problem for her. So I did. A portion of the gift certificates purchased in 2015 were redeemed this year. Somebody else help me out on this one. Melissa?
The credit, or I'm sorry, you debit 21,000 from the unearned.
How'd you get
revenue
21,000? That just came out of nowhere.
Because you subtract the 40 from the 19.
Yeah. A portion of the gift certificates were redeemed. That means I went from 40,000 this year to an ending balance of 19. Well, what did I have to do to get from 40 to 19? I needed to get rid of 21,000 in unearned revenue. Unearned revenue, 21,000. And Melissa, the credit was to what?
Service revenue.
Yep, service revenue. So I've just explained where more of this 135,000 came from. It came from more gift certificates that were paid ahead of time. Okay, number 5, all additional services provided to members will be billed this year. Maybe the hardest one. Jason?
would you, is it credit or debit accounts receivable 900?
900? Where'd you get 900 from?
Taking whatever's left from the 7,500 to get to 8,400. accounts receivable.
Whatever's left. Oh, okay. Nope, not yet. No, because remember, in accounts receivable right now, I have a big fat 0. 7,500 knocked out the other 7,500.
Oh, yeah.
Chris,
We would debit it 99,000.
99,000. Okay, where'd you get that big number from?
I subtracted 21,000 plus 15,000 from the 135 to get the difference.
Yeah, what he did is, we said here, all additional services, so that means whatever's left, all additional services were billed. So how much of the 135 is left that goes right here? And when he did the simple subtraction, he found 99,000 was left. And that was billed to my customers. And then the last one, payments received from customers were partially collected this year. So payments from my customers were partially collected. So that tells me I went from customers owing me $99,000 to now they only owe me $8,400. I got quite a bit of money. What am I going to debit? And for how much?
Cash for 90,600.
Okay. Cash for 90,600, and how'd you get that?
Subtracted the 99,000 to the 8,400.
Good. What I started with what I ended with, I went from 99 minus 90,600. So, looking a little bit beyond this one then, how much of the 135,000 in revenue did I actually collect this year with cash? How much of that 135,000 in revenue? Because if somebody looked at their income statement and they said, oh, you had revenue 135,000. You must have brought in and have in your hand $135,000. Would that be a fair statement to say? Could you say that? I show revenue on my income statement of $135,000. Does that mean that, assuming I haven't paid any of my bills yet, that I have $135,000 in my account in cash? What do you think?
No.
Okay, how much of this revenue do I actually have in cash? What do you think?
$130,600.
Less than that.
120,000?
Are you just guessing?
No.
120,000 is on the right track. So I started I need to have something as a reference, the starting point, so that's my final number. Something up here, and Melissa found it, is an automatic that I definitely did not get that money this year.
It's the 8,400 in the accounts receivable.
Well,
The 15,000.
the 15,000 right here, when did I get that money?
Last year.
Last year, remember? That was unearned revenue to start up the year. So that means I was paid last year, and it's unearned. So I definitely didn't get that money this year.
So you'd have 118,000.
So I'm down to 120. Was this 21,000 paid this year?
No.
It was. It was part of this $40,000 group. I got paid $40,000 this year for unearned revenue. 21 of that did become regular revenue. So that money was paid this year. I did get cash for $21,000. Did I get cash for $99,000? No, I didn't quite get cash for $99,000. How much did I get
You got the
of the $99,000?
90,600.
Yeah, I got the 90,600. So I really missed out on 8,400 I didn't get. Of that 99,000, 8,400 of it is still left to be paid. So if you wanted to know how much cash did you actually bring in, because that's the most important thing is how much cash you have. 111,600. I actually got cash this year. Just looking at things a little differently.
So even though we got the $40,000 in gift certificates this year,
Yeah.
that doesn't, I mean, it matters, but the...
Yeah, this is just a different way of looking at this number only.
Okay.
This is your actual cash. But I was just saying, of this much money that I earned this year, I did work for, how much money did I get just from that? That's all I'm kind of looking at this from different angles. True, I do have cash in my hands of 130,600 plus this, so 138,100, I think, or something close to that. I really do have that much cash, but of the stuff that I did just this year, how much of it came and was paid to me? Just a different way, just something to look at. That's kind of one of the things accountants do, is just take the information and look at it different ways. Are you making good money this year? Or did all of your money come in last year and you didn't really have any money come in this year? I did very similar on the answer here. So I have some T accounts laid out in rough format. Of course, this is our assets and then liabilities and then revenues. Not real nice, neat format, but close. You can get